gentlemen, welcome to the Schmoes show. Congratulations, you found your favorite show. Favorite that show. I don't know if we're able to fight against like true crime podcasts yet. We're not high enough level.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. With the way things have been going, sure there's a lot of true crime going on.
Ain't there just?
We're gonna be talking about these times like we talk about the Trail of Tears.
Won't that be fun?
I'm Nathan Orion, and I'm Schmoes.
And I'm Carl, and I'm also a Schmoes.
And aren't you glad we just haven't been around lately? Things have been pretty slow if you've been offline.
Yeah, if you just weren't paying attention to anything, it's great.
All's here.
The world is perfect. It's, it's a little bit cooler.
It's Taylor Swift
Show
got
done.
engaged.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Pumpkin spice lattes are around.
I always find that so funny because, like, you can just order one at any time of the year.
Can you?
So people, yeah, oh yeah. Pumpkin spice is just like cinnamon and nutmeg. That's basically it.
You're fucking with me.
No. There's nothing special about it. It's just the spices that get used to make a pumpkin pie, which are just things you already have in your cupboard all the time.
Bro, okay. Character off for a second. I'll be very blunt. I just made a pumpkin spice thing at home today. I lied. It's been a special fucking spiced coffee ahead of time for it. And you know what I added to it afterwards to bring out more flavor?
What's that?
Fucking cinnamon.
Mm-hmm.
So you're showing
Cinnamon's good.
Cinnamon is good. Cinnamon belongs on coffee. Hot take. Like hot coffee. But you're telling me I've been adding cinnamon on top of cinnamon already?
So if you're doing it as like a ground coffee, then they're probably doing some other stuff to get to that point. But or like, I guess if you're going to Starbucks, right? Because they have just like syrups that they use for everything, so they can fill it full of sugar. If you're going to like a proper coffee shop though, then yeah, it's just spices. It's just regular spices that have, warmer notes.
Because I just looked it up on Google and you're fucking right. Some people will put in ginger and cloves in there, but cinnamon, nutmeg.
They're bangers. They're awesome. I'll say this is my macaroni and cheese secret. Nutmeg in macaroni is amazing.
Okay.
Highly recommend it.
As
Just a little bit.
Man, I'm afraid of spices. Can you tell us what the mystical nutmeg is?
It's a nut, and it tastes good. I don't know. It just works.
It does work. Okay. Nutmeg tastes like warm, sweet, and slightly nutty with earthy and peppery undertones. People with a perfect palate scare me.
I agree with that. I can only think to just describe it as warm tasting, not in like hot, but like as being warmed by a fire kind of warm. It's cozy. It smells cozy. It tastes cozy. It's good.
I'm gonna have to buy some for my fucking coffee bar now. Regardless, everybody, I'm going through an existential crisis right now. I'm sure nothing else this show does will put me through a further existential crisis.
Unfortunately, for the people who were online these last 2 weeks, things did happen. The big one, of course, that everybody has been talking about, is that Silksong released.
Man, I'll just say it. The fact that it released for $20 when I thought it was going to be 30 is blowing my mind still. I've been using it as a measurement of value in video games.
I can't wait. I mean, I will say that, well, I don't think that that's wrong. It is the kind of thing that has to be taken with a massive grain of salt because no other developer can afford to do that, right? Like, the same thing happened when Baldur's Gate 3 released, and all of the like capital G gamers on Reddit and 4chan were like, why can't every game be this good now? And And then somebody tried to explain to them why every game couldn't be that good, and they got really pissed.
Dude, Reddit gamers scare me.
Yeah.
The kind of people...
It's wild.
If you self-identify as a gamer as your primary trait, you scare me. Not because of some perceived, like, inferiority, but because of, quite frankly, you've got opinions that I will never fully understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the case of like Baldur's Gate 3, the main things it had going for it was that it basically got to be in like a beta for almost 2 years. Most games can't do that, would you know? And then it had some particularly lax isn't the right word. It was able to do its development very particularly because of the resources that they had available. Most places, particularly independent developers, don't have that available. Likewise with Silksong, phenomenal game. Incredible price for what it is, but other developers don't have a prior multi-million-dollar release on like a team of 10 people that they can live off of forever. They have rent and food that they need to buy.
Some developers just don't get generational wealth on their first game.
Yeah. They should just try harder, though.
You know, have they ever thought about making a game like Baldur's Gate?
Just make Baldur's Gate again. Make Silksong. They already did it. Make Hollow Knight.
Yeah, just make Hollow Knight, dude. Make Undertale.
What are you waiting for?
Okay, I think... Oh, sorry.
No, go for it.
I think we're in a very cool space in video games right now. Because, like, I think we are in, like, the aforementioned cooldown period from the big indie boom of the 2010s.
Yep.
And we're getting an opportunity now to see a lot of these indie devs develop further. Yep. And it does excite me a lot to see where they're going. It's a collective.
Yeah, I know it's not 100% always going to be this way. And I know it hasn't always been this way, even just this year, but it has been really reassuring to seemingly see in a lot of cases many of these independent developers take some reasonable risk and make a really good thing and get rewarded for it, not just with good review scores, but like financially too.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Hollow Knight Silksong, right? It's a game, so good. Pirates were asking people not to fucking pirate it. Do you know how hard that is? Do you know how much fucking people who pirate shit love to brag about pirating shit?
Oh, yeah. They make it the first thing on their resume. They can't stop.
I'll have you know, I can use a Tor browser to pull up any piece of media that I want.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even that hard. That's the thing that I always find so funny about it, is that pirating a thing isn't hard. Paying somebody $10 to use a VPN is extremely easy. It's just like, where are you morally at? And if that's where you're at, that's fine.
I don't know if I would call it like a moral thing.
There's a sense of entitlement around it.
Yeah. It's I fucking like to equate it to Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative.
Mm-hmm.
That like I don't think there's a morality to it, but I do think it says a lot about you based off how much you go to pirating.
Yeah.
That being said, if buying a digital asset is not ownership, then pirating isn't all the way theft.
I do agree with that.
Yeah.
I didn't actually have it on the list for today, but I've been hearing that even with all of the usual what the hell's his name? The guy who runs Gearbox.
Oh, Randy Pitchford?
Yeah, Randy Pitchford being Randy Pitchford, even with all that happening, apparently Borderlands 4 is really good.
Is it?
Apparently, yeah. I mean, see, I haven't seen a ton of reviews for it yet, but what I have seen has been far more positive than I expected, and almost all of the major criticisms right now are related to technical problems, which is not good, of course.
Yeah.
But compared to how Borderlands 3 was received, it's nice to see.
I was about to say, isn't that like kind of infamous? I thought Borderlands 3 was the franchise killer. I didn't realize there was going to be a 4.
I had kind of assumed that too.
Yeah.
Apparently, right now, though, I'm double checking. Yeah. Currently sitting at an 83% on Metacritic.
Impressive. Mm-hmm.
They done made a good game.
Yeah. It's not that hard. Just make Baldur's Gate 3. Do you ever hear any of those rumors regarding fucking GTA 6?
You're going to need to be a lot more specific than that.
Okay, yeah, you're right, because there's a lot of talk over something like that. So I'm talking about two particular things. One is that they wanted it to be a $100 game.
Mm-hmm.
And two, that they apparently are hiring data analysts to observe everything about the initial launch of the game, because they're expecting it to be big and they want to be able to replicate it for future games.
I would be surprised by the second one. I would be surprised if they try to release it at $100. I know that that's been something that journalists have floated around as like a concept, and like, could this be big enough to be the first $100 game for this generation? But with the amount of money Rockstar has made off of microtransactions from GTA Online, like, obviously they've also made a shitload of money selling GTA 5, 4, 3 all the way down, but I don't think they need to take some kind of a risk like that and eat the bad press. If anything, I feel like they know that it's going to be massive enough, as long as they're confident in the product, that they could probably sell it at $60 and ride the good press from selling this amazing game for a decent price, for the usual price even. I
would say selling it at $100 would be too charitable. I would think they would try to hunt for whales with microtransactions.
Yeah, and even if you sell the game at like, $70, $80, the norm now, you can still have, collector's editions and all that sort of shit. There's plenty of stuff for people with too much money to spend their money on.
I think is kind of an interesting business strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Switch 2 has a really interesting business strategy at the moment. With the tariff situation and having to reproduce the ones that are coming to the US and Vietnam, they're kind of doing this strategy of still selling it at a bit of a loss, and then using the first party software to recoup those losses. It's why I'm pretty sure they're so fucking crazy about the prices and DLC pattern right now.
Yeah. I will say that is not a new tactic.
No.
At least the circumstances lately are different, of course, but I believe in the PS3 and 360 generation especially, that was a sort of open secret that console developers were losing money on every console sold because the margins on games were so high already.
Good point.
Yeah.
I think my cat is being naughty in the living room. Do you happen to hear Sam reprimanding him?
I did not.
Oh, it was so loud. It's so funny. Anyway, real news, right?
Yeah, what's not funny? Getting shot in the neck.
Damn, that sounds painful. I really wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy. Genuine. What the fuck?
So Charlie Kirk got assassinated. That's kind of been the headline story, which has been crazy, right? Like, there are so many layers to this whole thing, right? Like, I could easily take 3 or 4 hours just going through this and unpacking it all, how there's like the weird personal ties that politicians have to this podcaster, right?
Yeah.
How poisoned all of the coverage is based on the perspective of Twitter, because so many of the journalists covering this are stuck on there for whatever reason, and so many of the politicians are hyperactive on there.
Yeah.
It's very bizarre seeing all of this unfold. What has been consistent, though, is that in the wake of Kirk's assassination, the politicians in power have wasted no time trying to leverage it into enacting the awful and very likely illegal things that they have been planning on instituting for a while.
Yeah.
I've tried to compile sort of a hit list here because it has been a deluge. I'll be honest.
My FBI informant has said change the name of that, not so much a hit list.
Yeah. or is it? It has been a lot, and as someone like myself that is very online for a lot of the day trying to make sense of all of this, it has been surreal seeing these headlines coming in as things happened. TLDR, it sure looks like the First Amendment is basically dead, or that the current administration has no problem at all trampling on it until they're able to get up to the Supreme Court.
I was actually about to say, like, I consider it conditional at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 5 days ago, we had our General Pam Bond, still surreal reading that every single time, saying that there's free speech and then there's hate speech, and there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie in our society. We will absolutely target you, go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech. Which is such bullshit. Like, aside from the part where it's wrong, and we have the Constitution that says that she's wrong and dumb. What fucking hypocrisy. I want to get that out of the way right now, because that is obviously the air of everything that's been going on right now, is that there is just malignant amounts of hypocrisy going on when it comes to defending the First Amendment, freedom of the press, freedom of speech, what hate speech even is, and if it's illegal. And while it is obviously hypocritical at the very surface level, it is hypocritical. I think it's important to acknowledge why these people believe these seemingly contradictory things, right? Yeah. And the super short version of it is that they believe that by constructing these systems of like power, of very strict, the people above punch down to the people below kind of thing, that justifies their punching down in turn. So when you have, for example, as a story we're going to get into here in a second, when you have someone trying to have a product made for them, in this case, flyers for a vigil, that are of the same opinion as the people in power, it is not okay to refuse that service to be done. But if you're just a gay couple looking to have a cake made for you, it is okay to have that be, that service not provided, because those are not people of the party in power. And it's pervasive throughout their whole ideology, and I go on about that for a long time too. But regardless, it's very gross.
Yeah. Again, it's conditional. Are you on the right side, or are you on the wrong side?
Yeah. And the idea, like, definitionally, it is not hate speech.
Yeah.
Well, what is the hate that is being spoken? Is it, in fact, that these people are so dumb that they think hate speech is just people saying words while being angry, while being hateful, and not a legal term with actual meaning behind it? beyond that, because there's a lot more. In the wake of Kirk's death, we had Vice President J.D. Vance broadcasting from the White House on Charlie Kirk's podcast. During it, he vowed to use the government to dismantle non-profit, non-governmental organizations and liberal civil society who he says promote violence and terrorism.
No balls, he won't do it.
You say that. Well, he won't do it. Obviously, he won't do it.
Yeah, no balls. Yeah.
Later in the week, this is when things just start to get really dumb. Trump is talking about signing an executive order designating far-left Antifa group Antifa as a terrorist organization. That's not what Antifa is. It is incredible to see just how dumb these people are, how little they know. That they actually think, well, and that's the thing, right? It could be dumb. It could be that they just don't know what the hell they're talking about, that they don't know that Antifa is not an actual group with no actual leader. Or on the other side of it, it could be that they absolutely know that. And the actual goal of doing this is to have a boogeyman that they can point to and say, no, you're a member of Antifa, and that makes you random person who we disagree with a terrorist, and we're going to arrest you for that.
I got nothing.
Yeah,
it's so hard running commentary on this because, like, what are you supposed to say about stuff like this? It's fucked. Yeah.
I'm going to rapid fire through some more of the fucked up stuff this week. Oklahoma Republicans in their state legislature, Oklahoma state colleges must have a Kirk statue. Schools to be required to build memorial plazas and to describe slain activist as a civil rights leader or face fines. Apparently, oh, sorry, no, that's different. It's crazy. It makes no goddamn sense. Like, a modern civil rights leader. What civil rights did he advocate for?
The right
what civil
to
rights?
Punch down on undergrads.
Apparently. See, that is the other side of this that has been interesting to see, because obviously folks in our neck of the internet see Kirk for, I would argue, what he is, where he is inherently an extremely divisive individual. Went on to college campuses, not to have debate and discussion, but to get cheap, quick dunks on unprepared students who have no media training, no political training, who might not even be politics, who happen to be there. But he also, apparently, posted a shitload of just super generic pro-Christian videos. And if you're a, 40-something, 30-something Facebook mom, that is possibly the only part of Kirk that you have ever seen. And seems to be where a lot of this weird civil rights / sympathy stuff comes from, where people only see him as some sort of a Christian spiritual leader, Christian advocate kind of thing. Extremely biased, not biased, that's not the correct word, manufactured character almost, and very different from the reality of the speech that he regularly used. Let me double check here. Yeah, okay. The big falling out from this whole shit, Jimmy Kimmel on his late night show had in his monologue talking about the reactions that have been coming, particularly from people. A lot of them are. In particular, they played a clip of Trump being asked about Kirk at the White House. Reporter asking, quote, "My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. How are you holding up?" Trump responds, "I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get for about 150 years. So he's very clearly, in tears, broken up greatly over his supposed friend being murdered in broad daylight. And Kimmel correctly points out how just false, how much just, political bluster there is surrounding this. And his show has been suspended in. Notably, his show was suspended after two things happened. One, Sinclair Broadcasting, who owns a number of small local stations, a large number of local stations across the U.S., said that they would not be airing Kimmel's show because of that segment, and went even further, demanding a whole bunch of just ridiculous stuff that I hope I never have to actually officially acknowledge the details of, because it is insulting what they actually want ABC/Disney to do. The other one is that the FCC chair, Brandon, on a podcast after Kimmel's show, said that he was going to be looking at taking away a broadcasting license, specifically calling out Disney by name in doing so. And after that was when Kimmel's show was indefinitely suspended. This is bad. I know it's controversial to say that, but this is a pretty clear First Amendment violation. Many, just off the bat, this is Kimmel as an individual having his speech stifled as a result of government action. And we've talked about this in the past, where how many people call, the First Amendment, when they're actually talking about the First Amendment because it isn't related to the. And initially, that is what this seemed like until the connected with the FCC chair making these statements, and then Trump acknowledging this publicly. Quote, "They give only me bad publicity or press. They're getting a license. I think maybe their license should be taken away. That will be up to Carr." They're blunt about this. They're stifling an individual's free speech, stifling the press, or they're issuing not particularly veiled threats to the press for what they're reporting on. It is hard to read these things happening and not be very angry and upset by them. And to that point, thankfully, a lot of people are really not happy that this has happened, including such bastions of reason as Tucker fucking Carlson.
Good old Tuck boy. Thank you, Tuck boy.
Tuck coming out publicly against this act by the administration, correctly identifying it as a First Amendment problem, as an issue of freedom of speech, is pretty wild. And when they've gone so far right that they've lost Tucker goddamn Carlson, I don't know what they are expecting to have happen from here out. They are losing badly in the court of public opinion. There was a poll that Fox News did this week, and I don't remember the exact context, but I believe it was policy specific, asking are you, do you approve, disapprove, whatever of the president right now? And as a Fox News poll, 52% disapproved. 52
on a Fox poll.
There was another 13%, something like that were unsure. We're talking a gap between approve and disapprove of double digits. It's really hard to just talk about how to describe, without sounding like an exaggeration, how unpopular these recent decisions have made the administration. As people are hearing about what's actually being proposed and what's happening, they aren't happy. They're not happy at all. And we're going to talk about it a little later. But while the stock market might be relatively stable for now, individuals have completely lost faith in the future of the economy in pretty unprecedented levels. And it's not going to take much more, I feel, for this last push to happen and to have a line get crossed that's not going to be able to go back over. So from there, shifting up a little bit, just a little bit, we haven't mentioned the shooter that was involved in Kirk's killing yet. And to that point, we talked about it before the show, and we agreed that we're not going to a whole lot because there's been a shitload of lies, of misinformation that have been spread around this guy, and nobody really knows what he stands for, what his opinions are. The most credible reporting that I've seen seems to indicate that his opinions may have changed very recently, and that was what spurred his particular interest in Kirk with such, specificity. But there has been a constant stream of outlets like the New York Post and the Wall Street Journal posting what they claim to be verified reports from either the FBI or the DOJ or some credible source that within 24 hours have to be walked back. And, I think we agreed that it's not worth playing into that game. We don't know what this guy believes in.
Yeah.
He has a relatively minor digital footprint as far as has been publicly stated so far. We know he plays Helldivers too because he wrote witticisms on the bullets that he fired. But that's kind of it. So, to that point, though, I do want to talk about the actions that have been taken by a particular handful of media outlets as well as the White House to try and build a narrative here that, as far as we've been able to see proven, doesn't exist. And that is particularly and specifically that there is some sort of I should try and find the one, because that first article that the Wall Street Journal put out was just absolutely negligent. In particular, the line that is trying to be spun here is that the shooter did what they did because of transgender ideology. Has been the running theme of all of these reports that keep turning out to be fake or false or based on incomplete information. And more broadly than that this is some sort of greater trend in leftist violence against their perceived enemies. God, which one am I going to start with here? Okay. Yeah.
Can I just bring up one thing? I just want to.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's always a contradiction to me. I just hear when people always point out like the trans ideology part.
Mm-hmm.
They always say that, but they never explain what the ideology is and how it leads to murder.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
that is true.
So silly to me. It's like we can point out like the like the ICE administration, the Trump administration and their use of ICE. Their ideology is that they, want to make America great again and just get rid of all the illegal criminals. There is a flow past to how they justify their actions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they just don't stop at like, we're just going to make America great again. I'm just consistency. That's all I ask for.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a
I will tell you, as someone who knows quite a great number of trans people, the beginning and end of transgender ideology is bad about oneself. That's it. That's literally it. Regardless, we've gotten some pretty horrific things as an outcome of this. The Heritage Foundation, who were the group that wrote Project 2025, released a new policy proposal this week that they call Transgender Ideology Inspired Violent Extremism. They are trying to use this to have the FBI designate transgender ideology as having a terrorism designation. And there is some obviously just fake shit in here, regardless of like the surface level stuff where this is obviously shit. They also just go in here and lie. So, quote, experts estimate that 50% of all major non-gang related school shootings since 2015 have involved or likely involved transgender ideology. That's just bullshit. That's a lie. And there's so many different, modifiers that they have on there. Major school shootings, likely involved. Just absolute nothing. And because of this, they are trying to claim that it's the same thing with the Antifa thing. Antifa is a terrorist. There's not an organization. You don't have to register as a transgender in order to be a transgender person. That organization is kind of a fundamental of terrorism being a thing, is a cohesive collective ideology.
You know what? That's kind of antithetical to like the idea of what trans people want. To be on a registry would be kind of fucked,
Mm-hmm.
What do you want, Kat? Did you get that? Cairo, I'm asking. Did you hear his meow?
Sorry, what? I did not.
Oh my gosh, he just like ran right up to like right under the mic and just meowed into it. I have a little terrorist on my side now. Regardless, Heritage Foundation bad.
Yeah, Heritage Foundation bad. We also had an article by Ken Klippenstein that talked, or at least reported, on 2 senior national security and intelligence officials that confirmed the FBI is taking this seriously and are looking to classify transgender people as violent extremists, and will be using a new subcategory of domestic terrorism, nihilistic violent extremist umbrella.
Nihilistic extremist.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is super, ironic in a way, given, what we talked about transgender ideology as much as it is a thing that might exist, right?
Yeah.
It's very much the opposite of nihilism. Transgender ideology would be a philosophy strongly rooted in the idea that things do get better, that there are ways for things to improve. And that is at complete odds with nihilism. Yeah. Some of the other things that I thought were really interesting that were kind of adjacent to this, a group called Polling USA reported on a YouGov poll that asked people, if you had to guess, what percentage of American adults are transgender? So as a reference, the actual share of the U.S. population that is transgender is less than 1%. I'm curious, what do you think people reported in the survey when they were asked what percentage they thought were transgender?
I'm going to go between about 20 and 30%.
Yeah, you're pretty much spot on. 21%.
So
these people, on average, thought that 21% of American adults
are trans.
Are trans. It's absurd. More than anything, it just shows how effective the Fox News propaganda has been, right? Well, where people have no idea what the reality of these circumstances are, these situations.
I think it's a little more than just Fox. It's a agenda setting, like the mass comm theories stuff.
For sure, yeah.
They're being told about trans people more often than they're seeing them. So just by that effect alone, they're thinking about trans people more. Mm-hmm. They're assigning some kind of number based on just that alone.
Mm-hmm.
That being said,
last piece, yeah.
I only know 5 trans people.
Oh yeah. In person, physically, same. Most of the people I know are people I've met in online spaces, which kind of makes sense. there's so few of them, people are going to congregate online where you can meet a lot of other people who share those same life perspectives as you do.
Exactly.
But the last piece I was going to mention on this was that the DOJ this week has removed a report from their websites that showed far-right violence outpaced all other types of terrorism. Thankfully, it has been archived, so you can still go ahead and read it, but it sure is pretty damn telling that they went and did so.
Is it really
There was
that
also-
hard
yeah.
to disavow the far right? I mean, like,
Apparently.
I know the left does it for the far left, but like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would think it would not be that hard, but apparently it is. I was surprised at just how much is attributed to far-right violence. There's both this DOJ-backed study as well as some non-government organizations, both on the right and the left, but, conducted current year. I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head here. It was something like about 55 to 60% were of these oh god, they use different classifications. I'm not going to bother to try to remember it. It's all very readily available online still, thankfully. But it was about 60% was attributed to right-wing violence. About 10 to 15% was attributed to left-wing violence. About 20% was attributed to Islamic violence. And then there's like another 5-10% of assorted other minor categories. I thought that was kind of notable, though, because ideologically, when you look at it, Islamic violence could also be described as right-wing violence. They share a lot of very similar political opinions, anti-abortion, pro-religion, just different religion, right? And not even that different of a religion when you actually start to look at it. I'm sure they would hate that, though, if they actually heard it. But I'll tell you, as someone who's studied religion in college, boy, are they a lot more similar than they are different.
it's almost like they come from the same place,
Yeah, it's almost like one was a fork after the other.
which was a fork of another.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yep. Okay. With that, though, where do we go next?
I think we got to tell the good people at home what the true religion is at this point.
Silk Song? I don't know what the true religion is.
I don't know either. I just want to be
I'm
funny.
gonna say
I just wanted to piss someone off.
Yeah. No, I was gonna make a bad joke, but I'm not gonna make it because it was a bad joke. Not as in like a
Tasteless.
tasteless, just not good. It was not funny. What I was gonna say.
Fair.
What I am gonna say though is that actually let's talk the economy stuff. I want to talk the economy stuff because I find this fascinating. Thank you, shout out Kai Risdall for retweeting a lot of stuff. This guy must not work much because he's on Blue Sky a lot, but I appreciate it a lot. Interesting statistics from less major sources. So in particular, this last week, September 12th, so week before last, the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment released their findings. So they have been recording this aggregate of data over the last 30 years, which is like since 1996-ish is when they report back to. And they have two pieces that they report on. One that were particularly notable here, at least. One is a comparison of the sentiment towards the economy of people aged 18 to 34 versus overall consumer sentiment. Historically, people in that 18 to 34 bracket have a more positive outlook on the economy because of the forward-looking nature of where they are currently positioned. You have college, jobs, promotions. You're looking forward, you're expecting things to improve, and because of that, the sentiment among those people is usually stronger than it is in other places. It is currently at its lowest point since, I'll send you the picture because it's not completely there. Sentiment has been waning for a while, particularly during the last Trump administration. Things started to really tank, and it picked up after COVID, after things seemed to be improving broadly. But then end of 2024, early 2020, it has had its longest period of sentiment by this index being consistently low. And I think it's notable because it's not like the overall consumer sentiment is good. The overall sentiment's bad right now, but younger people, younger adults, their sentiment is even worse than that. To that point, there was another one from this University of Michigan economics statistics that was looking at what percentage of consumers anticipate that their inflation-adjusted income will fail to keep up with consumer prices during the next 1 to 2 years. So for reference, in the early 2000s, this figure hovered around 30. During the 2008 financial crisis, it peaked to a then all-time high of about 60%. Stayed there for a while things were bad, but then down. Things are back down to around percent mark. Since COVID, things spiked up pretty high again to around 50% and hovered there. Since Trump was elected and these tariffs started, it has jumped up to over 70%. 70% of people do not believe that their inflation-adjusted income will be able to keep up with consumer prices in the next 2 years.
You know, I get it. I get the doomerism. I really do. I'm always very curious of what is their expenses sometimes. You know?
I think in this case, it's mostly just like gas and groceries, of course, is the big one. But rent has been very steadily going up. Mm-hmm. The big thing right now is health costs and, like vehicle breakdowns, right? Unexpected major expenses. Because for a while, those have been devastating to people already, but they have gotten to be, even more so lately as those costs also go up. Yeah, and especially so. There was a really interesting clip I saw this morning from a farmer at a Republican town hall asking his representative, like, what are you doing for us in order to make sure that we can actually do our jobs? Because of these tariffs, parts cost double what they did a year ago. And that's if we can actually get them. And you're going to start to see that same thing, the whole, mechanical sector, right? Broadly speaking, if you have a part that needs to be replaced, probably being made, or it's already a very expensive, high. And if, you have a brake seize up and you need to replace the pads and the line and the actual rotor, that, a year ago might have been a $200 expense, which is a lot if you're already working paycheck, but now that could be a $400 expense.
Yeah. And let's not forget about other things like student loans, financial obligations, such as an HOA, because a lot of HOAs are around the world. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got one. It is not good. I mean, it's hard to say. But yeah, that is one of the most scary indicators I feel over the last 2-3 decades is how much as a percent incomes are taken up by mortgage now, by mortgage or rent. It used to be like a third. And now, for most people, it's well over half. The vast majority of their money just goes to paying for the place that they live. And those prices continue to go up. Some other indicators that the economy is not great. And when I say the economy, that is not the stock market economy. That is people's actual lived experience of what foods cost for them. The New York Times this week reported on the hamburger hamburger helper sales rise as Americans try to stretch their food dollars. In addition, there's reporting on canned goods like tuna and salmon, sales of beans and boxed macaroni continuing to rise, while other food goes down as people are pitching pennies, trying to make their meals last longer, stretching them.
So what you're saying is we got to invest in these stocks right now while the market's low.
Yeah, buy that dip.
Yeah,
I'm sure it won't go any lower. Some other more anecdotal ones. Google searches for what was it? It was not foreclosure, but it was like mortgage help, basically, are at an all-time high from being recorded. The folks over at Linus Tech Tips on their podcast were again, it's like the third week now, or this is 3 weeks later, the second time they've talked about it. Because they manage their own website, they see all the their site for shopping, and that includes errors during checkout. So when somebody has a card declined, they can see a pretty specific reason for it. So whether it's a card being declined because of a error or freeze on that card is different from a card being declined specifically for insufficient funds. And cards being declined for insufficient funds have spiked on their error sheet these last couple of months. People trying to buy stuff from them and not being able because they go to check out and they don't have, or their credit card's already maxed out. Goldman Sachs, quote, "We now estimate that the underlying pay rated to about 25,000, currently below our estimate of the break-even rate that would stabilize the unemployment rate. Other indicators also indicate that the labor market has softened materially this year." And because we have just the best government, the smartest people, they have a solution for the jobs part, at least. They have an answer. Isn't it good to know that somebody's looking out? The answer comes in two parts. One, H-1B visas now have a $100,000.
They censored you.
Oh, sorry. H-1B visas now have a $100,000 annual fee.
Annual?
Yes.
Annual.
Yeah. This is not law yet, of course, because obviously for it to be law, it would probably have to go through Congress. But I don't think that's going to stop them from trying it. And regardless, this is still the idea that they're proposing to bring jobs back to Americans, I guess.
My brother in Christ, this is just going to make them all virtual.
It's insane. Well, yeah, exactly. You don't need a visa if somebody's in, overseas. Or the two biggest sectors that, from what I understand, would be impacted by this. Number one is technology, right? People, particularly from India, get tons of visas, particularly H-1B visas, to work for Silicon Valley tech companies. And you don't need to be in Silicon Valley to work for a Silicon Valley tech company. So those jobs just get shipped back overseas, and you don't have to worry about visas. And they have to worry about it a little bit, but we've all seen from the pandemic that working from home in an office, it's not like this is a major problem. The other one that is a major problem, though, one of the other biggest sources of H-1B visa holders are doctors. There are tons of doctors who get H-1B visas and work in the U.S. in hospitals.
Okay, but I raise you. The medical industry has been very inflated for a very long time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But this wouldn't fix that, right?
No, because they'll just fucking lay off the doctors.
Yeah, they'll just leave, and then you don't have enough doctors. Or they just pass the costs on to the people who are getting treated like they already do. is an actually insane suggestion. And would you believe it's only like the third worst idea that the Trump administration has had for the. I think number 2 has to go to the official announcement of the $1 million Trump card, the Trump Gold Card.
I know this, and I don't want to talk about it. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's so fucking stupid.
Yep. For the low price of $1 million for individuals or $2 million for corporations, you can pay the government to have someone become a U.S. citizen, I guess.
That does not give human trafficking vibes at all.
Nope, not at all. The thing that I found hilarious about this is that he says, we anticipate the Trump goal will generate well over $100 billion very quickly. And you can do the math on that, right? You can do 100 billion and you can divide that by 1 million and figure out that they're claiming there will be at least 100,000 individuals who will buy a Trump gold card for $1 million.
Yeah, the Saudi. I'm not going to. That joke could have gone racist real fast. I'm going to stop.
How about we just say Russia?
Yeah,
they're white enough.
Yeah. Okay. You know, I'm Slavic. I can. Yeah. My last name ends in an Olsky. I can do whatever the fuck I want to Russians.
You're basically 10 feet away from getting thrown out of a window.
Actually, more like let's see here, 2 feet away. My window's much closer. No, it's like the Russian oligarch's son and his multiple wives.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Also, the idea that they're going to generate $100 billion and use that to pay down debt somehow when our annual budget is like many times that's very funny to me. Do you want to hear the worst idea, though, that we had from the Trump administration this week?
The statue?
No, this one's actually a bit more subtle and insidious. The Trump administration called for companies to no longer have to report results quarterly, instead only having to post them every 6 months.
Wee woo. Yeah.
In case anybody's forgotten what happened during 2020 during COVID, the president's great idea COVID cases go away was to just not report the number of COVID cases. If you don't track it, it doesn't exist. And it really seems like they're taking the same here, where if you just don't report that your company's in the shitter for 3 months, it's fine and it's not a problem.
Dude, you're going to see so many people sell stocks right before like half a year reports now.
Mm-hmm. This is another one of those things that I don't think the president can actually do. But I wouldn't be surprised if they try it. It meets their MO. Last piece I wanted to talk about this because, there's all of this big push for American jobs, right? A follow-up on the Georgia battery plant that had hundreds of Korean and American workers detained while ICE decided to deport hundreds of them back to South Korea. The immediate aftermath of that was that they realized very fucked up and started to ask all of these people to please come back, and they'll speed through the process in order to make it work, which is very funny. When a ton of these people said, no, we're not going to do that, you're again, because, yeah, no shit. But we now know that the whole reason that this thing happened, why this battery plant that was being built by these Korean workers that would have made thousands of American jobs was targeted in the first place, was because ICE agents were trying to fill the 3,000 daily immigrant arrests quota set by Stephen Miller earlier this year. So they just arrested 500 people all at once and called it a day.
We literally called shit like this out when he first announced that, didn't we?
We did. We absolutely did, because that's obviously what's going to happen. That's what happens when you put a quota on any sort of, is that situations are contrived to make lazy people's work easier.
it's almost like you shouldn't run government like a business. Because there's real fucking consequences to government running like a business.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of consequences, this is not a good segue, but I don't know how to segue into this. FBI Director Kash Patel was being deposed this week by Congress, particularly related to the Epstein files. I have a bit of a highlight reel for us to go through here, because all of these are absolutely insane and get more insane as you go. Let me make sure I have these in the right order. Okay. Representative Liu, quote, is Donald Trump on Epstein's client list? Patel, the index has been released and the index will speak for Liu. America, this is a huge red flag. The FBI director could not answer whether or not Donald Trump was on Epstein's client list. Which, yeah, fair enough. But, early days. How does it go from there? Representative Moskowitz asking Patel if he would open an investigation in the Epstein estate for releasing a fake document, president's signature linked to a pedophile ring. Patel asks on what basis they would do that. Moskowitz that Trump himself claimed it was fake. Again, not a great look for Patel. Then we get into the real stuff. So as a refresher, Kash Patel, before he was the director of the fucking FBI, was a podcaster. And while he was a podcaster, he was very big on releasing the Epstein files. So let's hear what he has to say about him now that he's a side man. Senator Kennedy, who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women? Patel, quote, himself, there is no credible information. None. If there were, I would have brought a case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals.
Okay, buddy.
And then the real icing on top of it, Patel, quote, we have released all credible information in the Epstein, and there's absolutely zero credible evidence against Donald Trump or anyone else.
You know what I love about Kash Patel?
What's that?
Have you ever seen his photo? Like his swearing in photo, I guess is a good way of putting it.
Mm-hmm.
He's always got a look in that photo that I really fucking love. It's like a way of him saying, like, it's right behind me, isn't it?
I've heard that called his cocaine look.
Yo, I see it.
There was a clip that was going around this week of him leaving one of the government offices. Yeah. And that's a better picture of him. But there's a video going around of him leaving an office being, I don't want to say accosted, but aggressively asked questions by journalists outside the building as he was like entering and exiting. And they were, shouting these questions. And his eyes looked like they wanted to pop out of his skull. He was so bug-eyed. And yeah. He is so out of his depths.
Yeah. I'm curious how much drugs are going around like that administration.
It would not surprise me if there was a ton. That was what the Nazis did too. They were big on meth. Amphetamines. Oh yeah, they had like amphetamines literally given out like candy.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah. I do have, actually, let me double check. Yeah, okay, we'll do this one first and then I'll go through the rapid fire. A quick thing that I think is worth just noting while we're here. Fox News correspondent Kilmeade said in a conversation during one of Fox's Fox and Friends shows, talking about the homeless problem, that homeless people should be given lethal injections, quote, just kill them. He has since given an apology for that, like, yeah, no shit, but what the fuck, dude? Why would you say that at all? Why is that even like a concept that would be in your brain?
He had to save time. He just couldn't do the regular rigmarole bullshit.
It's psychotic. I saw it pointed out that Dowd, a reporter with MSNBC, said earlier this week of Kirk, quote, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech in certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts, hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in. You can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these expect awful to take place. And that's the unfortunate environment we are. Dowd was fired for, but you know, if you say you just want to kill all the homeless people or that they should just die, that's a-okay.
Law and order. Law and fucking order.
Let's get through some rapid fire now before we can get to some better news. So, the CDC is in full swing with its whole Kennedy is going to give us the answer to autism. In a shock twist to nobody, the CDC is now recommending that the vaccine, which is a combined vaccine, measles, mumps, and rubella, the name, should now be split apart into 3 or more separate vaccinations over a period of time. This is notable because that is the exact concept that now disgraced former Dr. Andrew Wakefield proposed in his very first reporting in his now retracted paper that first claimed that vaccines cause autism. Was that it was the combined MMR vaccine that was the problem here, and that if you just split them up, no more autism. So we're like literally back 30 years in the CDC is concerned at this point.
I'm sorry, I just didn't register any of that. That was all just so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically exactly what everybody expected. You know, we talked about this back in like was when Kennedy made this ridiculous statement. It's like, okay, yeah, they're going to take all of the bunk science that we've, you know, disproven and just stick a new bow on it and call it good. And it's going to be a policy. Thankfully, we haven't, we have seen, of all people, insurance providers step up and give a common sense approach to this, which is eerily reminiscent of when we were in COVID times. And things were starting to get so bad politically that the insurance providers were like, no, we'll pay for this because we know that the ER costs more. And that's where we are with vaccines now, is that insurance providers are saying, no, we're still going to pay for this even if recommendations, you know, fucking measles is going to be a lot worse than this budget vaccine that we've been making for decades.
Really, though, think about all the fucking health crises that would be so expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really telling. In the same way that when we talked about Tucker Carlson early in the show, when the insurance guys look like the good guys, you know something's broken.
Well, thank you, Cairo. I really respect how you appreciate my field.
Always. I will say, though, like car insurance, health insurance, or not car insurance, insurance broadly versus health insurance specifically, very different beasts.
Yeah. I will say, the people who, knowing like the deeper intrigues of like the insurance industry, if they want to be evil, they could be so much more evil.
Yeah. I do find it fascinating, though, because we talk as like a devil's how bad some of these right-wing policies are, where it's like, this is a thing that is morally wrong, and that should be enough for you to not support. But if you need more, here's how it is also economically wrong. I do find it a bit fascinating that we're actually seeing that play out in real time, where it's like vaccine recommendations should be, as a moral imperative, what your standard is from the government. But we've gotten to the point where that doesn't even make sense now. So we're at the economic arguments in real life, and the economic arguments are winning.
Who knew these Republicans would be so bad for the economy? The poor economy.
In some other news, continuing with the rapid fire, we had this come up this morning, or I guess late last night it would have been. It seems that Trump accidentally truthed a message meant for his attorney general.
Yeah.
It is incriminating, to say the least, specifically talking about directing the attorney general to start prosecutions of his political adversaries. So that's not good. That's also, notably, the thing that they got Nixon for, more or less.
I was actually about to say, does the Nixon precedent and that screenshot existing pretty much make it so that that's always evidence in any cases going around that could have like probable cause?
Hard to say.
Hard to
Probably.
say. I don't.
I think that's a reasonable read.
I don't envy the judge that's going to get that.
Yeah, absolutely. On that note, though, Legal put out a really interesting video this week on the difficulties that the DOJ has been having on securing indictments, which is extremely notable. Whether or not it is just because the charges filed were so flimsy, or the people filing them are just so bad at their job, like Janine Pirro, who are literal TV lawyers being in charge of entire districts, or if there is some amount of broader public being just tired of all of this and going into some of these cases with the assumption that the government is not charges in good faith. It used to be like a once in a blue moon thing that the DOJ would go to a grand jury and present their evidence and not walk away with an indictment to proceed to trial. In one case, they went to 3 different grand juries for the same woman, and none of them gave them a go ahead. None of them thought they even had a 50-50 chance of being able to successfully prosecute this at a grand jury.
That's her. That's interesting.
Unprecedented amounts of incompetence, to say the very least. Next up, a quick one just to say, fuck you, Kash Patel. Patel's FBI put 2 pounds of methamphetamine in an animal shelter incinerator, ultimately resulting in 14 people being hospitalized and exposing over 7 to the fears.
Cash,
fucking idiots.
buddy, you're not supposed to get caught for this stuff until like 20 years down the line.
Thankfully, I did see a post from one of the people who worked at the shelter after they were released from the hospital that it seemed all of the animals were able to, and they were just struggling with housing them until the building could be cleaned, basically. But it seemed like there was no major injuries as a result from it. Just like, what are you fucking doing that you thought that was a good idea? And the final bad news piece of this, the Trump administration this week gave a very telling justification for one of the reasons that they were shutting a specific section of USAID that was intended to distribute $10 million of birth control for women overseas. The U.S. government is going to be destroying that birth control, saying, quote, President Trump is committed to protecting the lives of unborn children all around. The administration will no longer supply abortification birth control under the guise of. So this is explicitly the Trump administration describing birth control as abortion. something to watch for about 18 months down the line when that, I'm sure, eventually makes its way to the Supreme Court in some case.
That's fucked up.
Would you like some good news? I like some good news.
Sure, why the fuck not?
There's actually good news. I have 3 good newses. One's a little bit tepid, but I think it's good still. It's funny if nothing else. So the first one, the big one, a judge has thrown out Trump's $15 billion. Legal, again, has a really good breakdown on this, but the filing that Trump's lawyers made is not just absurd, it's pathetic. It is groveling. It is just sad that they thought anybody was going to be convinced by it, let the judge. And it's not surprising that this case was thrown out. It was based on nothing, as all of these are, and dismissing it rapidly. So we'll see what they go. I'm sure they're going to try and but they had literally no evidence actually in their thing. It was an 80-page filing, and something like 30 pages of it was just sucking off Trump, talking about all of his many. So, yeah. Good on you, Judge. There was also an internal report that was being reported on by the Washington Post this week. They reviewed it, that the National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. are having extreme morale problems.
No shit.
Who would have guessed? The document describes the mission, this is described by the National Guardsmen, leveraging fear, quote, driving a wedge between citizens and generating shame among some service members and where is it? National Guard officials tracked online sentiment and finding 53% of reactions negative compared to only 2% being positive.
That's a lot of negativity.
It is a lot of negativity. And the 2% positive thing is, I think, what's really telling, because that means you have 45% of people and reporting that is kind of in the middle, where it's like more matter of fact, right? These National Guard deployments are extremely broadly unpopular and, to be frank, deeply un-American.
Frankly, yes. I mean, I don't know. I don't pretend to know what it's like to be in the service, but I know they're very proud people, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
So to be put in their position and basically, I don't want to use the word, it's inappropriate. It's inappropriate to them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It is a slap in the face of everything they've worked towards.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel bad for them, you know? It's hard.
Yeah.
I totally get why they're pissed.
Especially when there's such obvious disdain for them from the person who's supposed to be leading them. The fact that these deployments were issued for 29 because these National Guardsmen only get compensated to the full extent for deployments that are 30 days or longer. So they're specifically timing these less than 30 days of paying them the full amount that supposedly they would be due.
That's fucked up.
Okay, I do have one more. This is more like a forward-looking good news thing. I know we don't get those a lot. Tom Moore, a senior fellow for democracy policy at the Center for American Progress, published a paper this week that they believe gives a framework at a state level to dismantle the Citizens United Supreme Court decision.
How?
Which would be huge.
Yeah.
So they argue that corporations are inherently a, quote, creature of state law. They cannot exist without existing within a state first. They start with 0 powers, and then the states choose which powers to grant corporations. when a state rewrites its corporation laws to no longer specific powers to those corporations, they lose those powers. States could rewrite their corporate laws no longer to specifically not grant corporations the power to spend in politics. Without that power, there would be no right to be protected by the Supreme Court.
Bro,
and because states control all levels of elections and ballot everything, that would mean no corporate or dark money in ballot measures, local races, state elections, or even federal elections within that state.
I'm sorry. I tried sharing a tweet from Citizens United and it did not embed properly. Let me try sharing. There we go. They don't like it. They don't like it whatsoever. They're moral grandstanding on Twitter about it.
That's actually a separate thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so a congressman this week introduced, it's going to go literally, but they introduced an actual constitutional amendment that would federally, in the Constitution, say that Citizens United basically doesn't exist anymore, that money in politics cannot come from corporations, which would be huge.
Yeah.
And like, I do find that is a very funny tweet because this would gut the First Amendment. It's like, yeah, no shit. That's the point. The First Amendment is broken and we're trying to fix it. By definition, it would change the First Amendment. So it's a good spot. That's funny.
Yeah.
We don't have much, but would you like to talk about some movies? I have two for us.
Sure thing. Do you mind if we just pause the recording for a second?
Yes, I actually do need to.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. My cat is an asshole, and he wanted to be fed. And we had to stop halfway through just to feed my fucking cat.
What is a cat if not I didn't say that right. Damn.
What? I'll give you a retry.
Cats exist for us to give them food. So that sounds like a good, typical experience.
Yeah, this is pretty standard. He loves to do it in the middle of the night, too.
Nice.
So he does it in one of two ways. He gets really affectionate with me when he's hungry to like kind of coax food out of me. And then he'll start bullying Samantha.
Yeah.
And what that bullying looks like is nipping her at every opportunity.
The boy's hungry.
He's a hungry boy, and the wrist is the best thing in the meantime.
Oh, so I have two movies for us.
Got you.
One's a quick one. Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues. Releases to okay reviews. 60% from critics, 90% from audiences. Yeah. A lot of the reviews seem to be talking about that it's still pretty good, but it's it's a bunch of old guys, right? Yeah. It's not as spry as they were.
I respect that it's a comedy in this day and age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between this and The Naked Gun, I feel like there's a decent sort of trend of comedies coming out and doing seemingly okay.
Yeah.
Be nice to see that continue. Get more relatively big budget comedies. The other release this week that is really only notable for one reason is a movie called Him. H-I-M.
Oh, I know why. Yeah.
Very proudly on its poster says that it is produced by Jordan Peele. And you can tell that it's only produced by Jordan Peele and not written or directed by Jordan Peele because it's currently sitting at a 28% from the critics.
Yeah. Poor Jordan. I remember seeing people when this movie first dropped, they called it Jordan Peele's Him. Kind of like we have Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. Even though he didn't direct that. Yeah. So
It's a strange one because Peele's got, obviously with his own movies, an extremely solid track record, but makes you wonder what he saw in this that didn't pan out.
an earlier script.
Probably, yeah.
What is this movie about? I'm looking it up here.
Football, American football. The Rotten Tomatoes synopsis is him centers on a promising young football player excited to train at the isolated compound of a dynasty team's aging first quarterback. The legendary quarterback takes his protege on a blood-chilling journey into the inner sanctum of fame, power, and pursuit of excellence at any cost.
Yeah, I've got nothing. I don't know what was the smoking gun on this.
Curious if there's anything on the Wikipedia.
I'm reading the production right now, and I don't understand how Jordan Peele gets involved.
It's funny. Googling him Wikipedia first comes up with him, a Finnish goth rock band.
I dig it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very strange. I have to wonder if this is actually actively involved with, or if it was like he has a company for him and just happened to get his name associated with it.
So his producing partner also worked on it. I did producing it too.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if it's a case of they saw, one of them saw gold, so the other joined in.
Could be.
Yeah. Jordan, come defend yourself on the podcast. We'd love to have you on. I find your
so it
movies-
looks the title production company on it, Monkey Paw Productions, is Jordan Peele's production company.
Yeah.
So it's actually associated with it, like properly, not just like gave some money at some point.
Weird. Seems like there's a bunch of first-time writers as well, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, none of them have a Wikipedia page. This is the director's second movie.
Maybe he just wanted to bring up some new talent. I can't fault him for that.
It could be. It is relatively low budget, all considered. 27 million.
Yeah.
It's apparently already made back 14.
Maybe it'll break even.
Certainly might.
Yeah.
Very strange. Well, that's what I got.
I saw Thunderbolts.
Oh, yeah.
Thunderbolts is good.
It's real good.
Thunderbolts is scary. Real scary.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good dark superhero movie. Even though it's not really much of a superhero movie, it's like spy superhero kind of.
Mm-hmm. It definitely leans into that.
Yeah. I got a lot of Winter Soldier vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Everything with Sentry and the Void is really fucking good. This is easily the best they could have ever done Sentry, and I very much look forward to seeing what they do with this in Doomsday.
Yeah, I'm pretty curious too. Although I did see an interesting point how God, was it at the end of Brave New World? There's kind of this looming thought of like Sam, now Captain America, wants Bucky to join or be part of the Avengers in some way. And and Bucky declines because he's sort of retired-ish, wanting to do this congressional politician run.
Yeah.
And now we're in Thunderbolts, and he's just like, nah, I'll do the New Avengers. Why not? So you've got Sam on the actual Avengers and Bucky on the New Avengers, and that's kind of weird. Like, interpersonally, how's that going to work out?
Chiral.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, Bucky's from the 1930s, 1940s.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm not saying Bucky's great. He's in Congress now. He's not a good person.
I think he probably got impeached.
Okay.
Or resigned, at least. Conflict of interest kind of thing. That would be kind of weird, though. Can you imagine? Basically, like, any active duty member of the military also being official?
It would be kind of impressive.
Because that is basically what he is now.
Yeah. I don't even know how you get out of that position that he's in.
It's not great.
Yeah. Like, the only precedent is Steve Rogers, and I don't think most people want to go the Steve Rogers route.
Yeah, probably not.
Nah. Yeah. Thunderbolt's good. I think I kind of agree with you. I want to rewatch it. And having rewatched Fantastic Four and fucking Superman, which I did this weekend, I think there's more rewatchability to Thunderbolts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's definitely more depth.
There is a lot of weird character depth in the writing.
Mm-hmm.
In the writing.
I could see an argument for a more casual audience that Superman has better rewatchability because they do only care about, like you're saying before, those set piece moments.
Yeah.
And the set pieces in Thunderbolts are definitely a bit lower stakes relatively, less flashy. But yeah, I really appreciated what the writers of Thunderbolts did with the characters themselves.
Thunderbolts started with nothing and gave us something, which is kind of impressive.
Yep.
Yeah. The movie is off to a very slow start, I will say, in the beginning. But once you really establish those characters and I don't know. What's refreshing about it is it doesn't feel like a quote-unquote new Avengers as much as it's just like its own thing. I get more Guardians of the Galaxy than Avengers from this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Also, fucking, you know what's got over Superman by the droves?
What's that?
Positive Slavic representation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very fun. I do like that they were able to take the Black Widow movie stuff and turn it into something that's actually worth watching.
You know, that's why I was wondering, coming into this, like, I don't know anything about the Black Widow movie where 2 of these 5 characters come from.
Yeah. I will unfortunately admit that I did see.
How's it feel?
It wasn't good. I'm not proud of it.
How's it feel being one of the 5 people to see Black Widow? Do y'all meet
Yeah.
up? Do you have a relief?
We're called the New Avengers.
Fuck you. That was good. That was good. You get 3.
Yeah, it does feel weird though, having seen all of Black Widow, Brave New World, and the Captain America TV show. It's like I understand how all of these things came together, but I don't know. I guess I can appreciate that they aren't requiring people to go watch Black Widow.
To me, it feels very sloppily put together. Like, these don't feel like chapters in a novel, as much as it's like a whole bunch of misadventures, like you would see in Star Wars. And that this is the part in Star Wars where they do the fucking run through to blow up the Death Star.
Mm-hmm.
I do love that Sentry has a mommy complex, an Oedipus Rex complex.
Yeah. It makes me wonder. I imagine it's more that the Homelander character is so heavily inspired by comic book characters like Superman and Sentry, of course, that's where a lot of that comes from. But that was, oh, this is like so similar to the storylines that they had in the first season of The Boys.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's got a huge Oedipus thing.
Is The Boys good?
I have only seen the first two seasons, and I thought it was. I had heard ahead of time that it was, visually graphic, and it is extremely visually graphic, and I toned it down a bit to be just less gratuitous. But those first two seasons I thought were quite good. They're well written. They explore interesting ideas about, power dynamics and how that intersects with certain politics.
Okay.
It's all very metaphorical at a certain level.
Okay, here's another thing about Thunderbolts I find fucking hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
They try so hard to make you think Ghost is going to be a thing that matters.
Yeah. Ghost is just there. She's having a good time not being shattered and stretched across time and space or whatever it was.
And that was Taskmaster that dies, like, first off, right?
Yes.
So
They're also from the Black Widow movie.
I recognize Taskmaster as, like, a Marvel guy, but, like, it's really weird to me that they would just kill Taskmaster. And there they are in the fucking posters, like, all the fucking posters.
Yeah. I have to imagine a lot of it is because they're, the whole point of the movie is to try to rehabilitate all these B characters from the various shows into something more, useful, profitable, marketable. And you can't really do that with at least this version of Taskmaster. They're just like turbo brainwashed, mind controlled, barely like sentient at this point kind of thing. Because they've been in like the Red Room stuff for so long, so aggressively.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, then. Well, I'm going to do the Midwestern. I think it's about time we started getting out of here. Kyril, anything you want to bring up for the show before we head out?
That's all I got.
I'm Infamous Orion, and I await your Doomsday and New Avengers.
And I'm Kyril, and I'm also a Schmo.
And this has been the Two Schmo Show.